Good evening. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome. We're happy to see you. Thank you for making time to come listen to the poets. I'm Jane Bunker, the director of Northwestern University Press, and we are delighted you're here to help us celebrate the 100th anniversary of the birth of Gwendolyn Brooks. We have a real treat for you. In just a few minutes, you'll hear a group of extraordinary poets read their work. Books are for sale in the lobby. We will still be selling after the reading in case you didn't get a chance to get what you wanted, and the poets will be signing their books after the reading. There's also a reception immediately following. Before I introduce our moderator, who will introduce the poets, I want to thank our partners. This event would not have been possible without their support. First and foremost, I thank the Poetry Foundation for their generous support. At Northwestern, I want to recognize the libraries, especially Dean Sarah Pritchard, Claire Rockefort, Corey Slowick, and Drew Scott, the Center for Writing Arts, the Department of African American Studies, Department of English, the Poetry and Poetics Colloquium, the Women's Center, and the Program in American Studies. We are very grateful that your generosity has made this evening possible. We also thank the Evanston Literary Festival and encourage all of you here to partake of the many other events going on around town this week. Finally, my thanks to my colleagues at Northwestern University Press. The 5 poets with us here today have published a combined total of 11 books with us over the years. Many of our staff have worked on these books. Thank you. Thank you so much. Working alongside my fellow editors and publishers reinforces my belief every day that what we do matters, that great writing matters, art matters. For those of you who were lucky enough to be with us this morning at the roundtable discussion, you know it's clear that reading matters. Thank you to the press staff who help make great books for readers like you. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce the woman who makes our poetry books possible, Parnisha Jones. Parnisha.
If thou be more than hate or atmosphere, step forth in splendor, mortify our wolves, or we assume a sovereignty ourselves. Gwendolyn Brooks. Good evening, everyone. How y'all doing? Welcome to Black Women as Giants, a celebration of Gwendolyn Brooks. When I pondered the many splendored voices in American literature, when we needed the most robust and beautiful Black women voices to step forth, 5 poets appeared in my dream. I am proud that this dream is coming true tonight. Gwendolyn Brooks wrote the hard poems, the beautiful poems. She made us confront that we are not always pretty people. We are made of mistakes and horrors, and still we press on and find some kind of beautiful. Sometimes we have to be reminded, stand up straight in our mirrors and contemplate the world we have made for ourselves. As Patricia Smith poetically states, who knew our pudgy American dream could be so combustible? Tonight, we will find our way with poetry. 5 poets will help us celebrate and find our beautiful. In honor of Miss Brooks and her legacy, tonight we will become a community, a family of humans and poetry. Tonight we will bring forth Toi Derricotte's words that joy is an act of resistance. Tonight, Angela Jackson will become the smoke queen. Vievee Francis will show us that the truth is not in, but under the details. And Nikky Finney will remind us of a motto she often leaves hovering in midair: to never leave the arena to the fools. Toi Derricotte is the author of The Undertaker's Daughter, Captivity, Empress of the Death House, and Tender, winner of the 1998 Patterson Prize for Poetry. Her literary memoir, The Black Notebooks, received the 1998 Ansville Wolf Book Award for nonfiction and was a New York Notable Books. Ms. Derricotte is the co-founder of Cave Canem with Cornelius Eady, and she is Professor Emerita at the University of Pittsburgh and a Chancellor at the Academy of American Poets. Angela Jackson is a Northwestern University alumni. She is the author of numerous collections of poetry, including Voodoo Love Magic, Dark Legs, and Silk Kisses, which won the Carl Sandburg Award, as well as All These Roads Be Luminous. Her newly released novel, Roads Where There Are No Roads, is a continuation of her debut novel, Where I Must Go, which won the American Book Award. Ms. Jackson is the author of the forthcoming Gwendolyn Brooks biography, A Surprise Queenhood in the New Black Sun, The Life and Legacy of Gwendolyn Brooks. Vievee Francis is the author of Horse in the Dark, which won the Cave Canem Northwestern University Press Poetry Prize, and Blue Tail Fly. Her third book, Forest Primeval, won the Kingsley Tuff Award for Poetry, the world's largest monetary prize for a single collection of poetry. She also won the 2016 Hurston Wright Legacy Award and was shortlisted for the Penn Open Book Award. She is currently an associate editor for Callaloo and associate professor of English and creative writing at Dartmouth. Patricia Smith is the author of Incendiary Art, Shoulda Been Jimmy Savannah, which was awarded the Bobbitt National Prize for Poetry from the Library of Congress, Blood Dazzler, which was a National Book Award finalist, Tea House of the Almighty, a National Poetry Series winner, and Life According to Motown, which was just released in a special 20th anniversary edition. Nikky Finney is the author of 4 books of poetry, On Wings Made of Gauze, Rice, The World is Round, and Head Off and Split, which won the National Book Award for Poetry in 2011, and is now on permanent display at the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. She holds the John H. Bennett Chair in Creative Writing and Southern Letters at the University of South Carolina. I've done this twice today, read these bios. Let me wet up. Please give a warm welcome to Angela Jackson, Vievee Francis, Patricia Smith, Nikky Finney, and Toi Derricotte. We're going to welcome first to the podium, Toi Derricotte.
I cannot tell you what a good time we're having. We are having such a good time, and I know Gwendolyn would be so happy to see us here, and she would share our joy. And I want to thank Parnisha, our brilliant host, and the Northwestern, the way they've made this such a special joining of sisters for all of us and for this celebration of Gwendolyn. So my work is a tribute tonight to her, and really it's sort of a prayer, because I want her to know how grateful I am to her. I'm grateful to you, Gwendolyn, for your work, and we try to walk in your footsteps. We probably won't get half as much done, but we keep trying. And I just want you to hang in there with us, especially during this very hard time in the world. And we love you. So I'm going to read new work, except for one from an older book. And I'm going to start out with a quote that I used in my last book, The Undertaker's Daughter, and the quote is, it's my own: "Joy is an act of resistance." And so I'm trying to sort of write an introduction in a poem to my new book, and as you can see, it's but anyway, I'll start with that. Confessions of a Confessional Poet in Old Age. So in my old age, having written and medicated myself out of my subject, I have nothing to write about, nothing to eat like those meaty fears. How long to learn how to write in another language, to marry a heart I'm just beginning to trust, then to love one thing and write of it wildly like one who lived free. Speculations about I begins with a quote from Thoreau: "A certain doubleness by which I stand as remote from myself as from another." 1. I didn't choose the word. It came pouring out of my throat like the water inside a drowned man. I didn't even push on my stomach. I just lay there dead, like he told me, and I came out. I'm sorry, Father. I wasn't my fault. 2. How did I feel? Felt almost alive when I'd get in, like the Trojan horse. I'd sit on the bench. I didn't look out of the eye holes so I wouldn't see the carnage. 3. Is I speaking another language? I said I is dangerous, but at the time I couldn't tell which one of us was speaking. 4. Why I? I was the closest I could get to the one I loved, who I believe was smothered in her playpen. Perhaps she gave birth to I before she died. 5. I deny I, and the closer I get, the more I keeps receding. 6. I found I in the bulrushes, raised by a dirtiness beyond imagination. I loved I like a stinky bed, while I hid in a sentence with a bunch of other words. 7. What is I? A transmission through space? A dismemberment of the spirit? More like opening the chest and throwing the heart out with the gizzards. 9. I am not the I in my poems. I is the net I try to pull me in with. 10. I try to talk with I, but I doesn't trust me. I says I am slippery by nature. 11. I made I do what I wasn't supposed to do, what I didn't want to do, defend me, stand as an example, stand in for what I was hiding. I treated I as if I wasn't human. 12. They say that what I write belongs to me, that it is my true experience. They think it validates my endurance. But why pretend I is a kind of terminal survival? 13. Didn't promise I anything, and in that way, I is the one I was most true to. At the Cummer Museum, Jacksonville, Florida. How sad and direct the gaze of the youth in embroidered vest, a title that says nothing of the purple black of his African skin, the full, almost sexual pout of his lips. Here he is between the cabinets of Mycene porcelain, perhaps because of the date, 1785, by Marie Victor Lemoyne. I try to separate the boy from the painter, find the secret life beneath the canvas that only I, the daughter of an African slave, can see. If you black, you black, Hazel Shorter said, comforting me in the 60s. Some of us had started calling ourselves black instead of Negro, and I feared I was becoming too light-skinned to be owned by my people. My family hated the change, claiming black lacked dignity, distinctions we had spent generations proving we were not jungle savages in King Kong, not Kingfish or the rolling eyes, oh Lord, of Mantan Morley, not the accused strung up with the genitals stuffed in his mouth. How clinical it is for the powerless to see themselves through the eyes of the painter. My uncle said white people hate black people because they want to be black, because they know how beautiful we are. They want curled hair, suntans, and bee-sting lips. They inject plumpers. In later years, you see rich white women who can't stop themselves from one more surgery, faces monstrous in the front rows of Christian Lagerfeld and Dior, skinny rats, desiccated corpses painted bright orange, lips swollen like two pink balloons pasted where the mouth was. Designers fuss over them and pull their blouses, repeating how young they look and that they have been saving the best pieces in the back room. We had to take meaning into our own hands. The poet takes beauty like a refugee crossing the border, holding on to the underside of a truck until it squeaks through to another country. Those black faces in movies, on TV, the internet, the blacks, the Africans larger than life, so that the watchers seem to live in the living pores. Heroes or foes? Still a bit other? If you black, you black. The way I, at 75, successful, retired, make my bed each morning in case I would die and my white neighbors find me and say I was just what they imagined, a dirty nigger. It still exists somewhere in the mind. No matter what the DNA reports, for me, 28% African, 72 European, if you black, you black. I say in the black notebooks, it isn't exactly that we believe in their one-drop rule. Rather, maybe we are like the kindest occupants of the poorest house who nevertheless are eager to open our doors and let any supplicant in. No matter in what country or year, I twitched alive and slid into the sack of history. No matter on which side of the diaspora, a black hand pulled me through and rocked me to tenderness. If you black, you black. The intimates. In the stalls, we ladies hear each other pee. I watch her feet. Unashamedly, she unrolls the toilet paper, thrump, thrump, thrump. Her shoes are sturdy beige. Perhaps she's a librarian. She definitely has a job. And she pees solidly in a forceful stream that ends with a quick, assured finish. I have another bathroom poem. On a woman who excuses herself from the table, even in restaurants, to brush her teeth. I would feel strange to brush my teeth in public, like I was fouling the sink more than by the ordinary washing. It's true, you might get excretions on your hands. Still, the hands are such pretty little things to watch, so visible and pink or brown. Not at all like the hidden shreds of lettuce and the tongue, digging out the threads of meat and torn, sticky shreds of lettuce, and the tongue, which seems so phallic or clitoral, and in fact is descended from the same cells in the embryo that split off to make the sexual organs. I notice her mouth open, the cavernous gullet, and I dangerously lift one foot. Not forgotten. I love the way the black ants use their dead. They carry them off like warriors on their steel backs. They spend hours struggling, lifting, dragging. It is not grisly as it would be for us to carry them back to be eaten, so that every part will be of service. I think of my husband at his father's grave. The grass had closed over the headstone, and the name had disappeared. He took out his pocket knife and cut the grass away. He swept it with his handkerchief to make it clear. Is this the way we'll be forgotten? And he bent down over the grave and wept. 2 more. Bad dad. I thought I had murdered my brutish father, but here he is on TV, risen with orange Technicolor hair. The last poem. You guys are funny. Okay. I loved Gwendolyn Brooks' book, Maud Martha, and I think one reason why I was writing the Black Notebooks during that time, and I think she was really teaching me how a poet lengthens the line. It's really like the same line as in a poem, but you just make it longer, and it goes on, and then it becomes prose, or it looks like prose. And so I learned that from her, and then I also learned about compassion. And in one story, she spares the kitchen mouse, and she's in this kitchenette, and she finally catches this mouse, but it's not dead. And she's thinking about this mouse, and she thinks, maybe its children are waiting for it, to come home. Where's mother? And so she lets the kitchen mouse go. And I think that compassion is so important about her work. After the Gwendolyn Brooks reading, she sits at the book signing table with a colorful African wrap tied around her head. She may have her chin in her palm, elbow on the table as if resting her brain, that luminous jello in its bony shell, as she listens intently to each one of the church women who have come on a bus in large church hats. They squawk with joy as they hand her well-used books to sign, taken down from their most honored shelves. And she, who conceived of Maud Martha, that woman who, by sparing a kitchen mouse, discovered unfurling her own great wings of compassion, talks to each one, letting them take as many pictures as they like, sandwiched between them, small, dignified, and exceptionally at ease. Thank you.
It's my privilege to join in this celebration of the giant Gwendolyn Brooks with these Black women poets here at Northwestern. A poem that came from a dream. For Gwen on her passing, your legible voice is gone from us, and lost newspapers spin and whirl in black and white and fly and slam against lampposts blood red all over. Who can remember a time when your language did not dignify what or who was diminished? In the end, you lived in a world where they put poets in boxes or cages where they could watch us in the killing zoo. The sorrow is this: you did not live to see us free. Certain eyes are too old for tears. What could we have said, or what would we have said if we could? There is none like you that we love a whit as much. You were yourself and no one else. You gave me few particular gifts, but each of these I kept, what is mine and mine alone. I will not squander the light that runs through my hands when I hold your poems, yet how empty my hands feel when I try to write about you. I am no match for you, and never said I was. I stretch my spine, strengthened, but your words were mother's milk, oblique, expressed, nutrient, the steady, exquisite throb course toward our heart's muscle, understated as a pulse, pulsing into pictures taken deep inside the chambers where we weep. Whoever begrudged you respect or honor, I almost curtsy before you once or twice. But the years, all of them a fleeting glance, I so rarely saw you, waved from a distance, wave. You wave back and go on. Miss Brooks invented a form called verse journalism, and I didn't realize that I was copying that legacy. I thought I was just being Ida B. Wells' daughter. An excerpt from a long poem called The Red Record, a narrative of lives lost in misdeeds too numerous to fully disclose. Homage to Ida B. Wells Barnett and The Red Record, and to Gwendolyn Brooks. A southern winter evening, the dusk deepening, the stars staggering across the deep sky, he walked toward his father's house on the edge of manhood, chewing bright-colored candy, sipping sweet tea from a can, walking the elan, the smooth, rough edges of the hair, hooded or out, standing, simply being while black. The same state of flowers, same dark and stars, chilling in an SUV on his way to his father's house, loving living. The gas station lit up with lights and loud sound, the edge of manhood, his crew thrilling, the music in their veins, the swag and the beat pulsing with energy, pressing out into atmosphere, life irrepressible, being and black. The deep music of the skin, melodious, hurting the eyes of fearful men, the movement swigs of grace, burning rage in the throats of angry men, smiles bent, singular wing of angels torn by vicious men. On the edge of manhood, being while black, poised, magnificent. Here lie incidents primed like a blue wall. A giant of a black man standing alone on the New York sidewalk, accused of being a misdemeanor by felonious men who rode him like a beast of burdens. They burdened him down pressed in a chokehold. I can't breathe, I can't breathe. 11 times They held his breath until it was not. They looked in his face and spoke to the absence in the land of the living. Walking in the middle of the Missouri street on the yellow line, his swag owning the broad day, 19 like that, feeling himself. The cop pulled him over. Then the story changes like a gambler's luck. Witnesses say it was murder. Hands up, don't shoot. After he'd walked away, hands up, don't shoot. Shots, 6. Black young man, broad body, lay 4 hours in the middle of the Missouri street in broad sunlight. A daydreaming boy playing alone on a playground in Cleveland, toy gun in hand on the playground. Somebody called, suspecting toy. Cop car pulled up. 2 seconds, quick as nothing. Boy falls from bullets, real police bullets. 12 years old, playing while black. His sister wept like Jesus wept over him. They tore her away, threw her in the squad car, weeping illegal while black. Early in Cali, the black young man, how he partied on New Year's Eve on the train, an altercation near Fruitvale Station. The cop shot him point blank. In Phoenix, he was running from the Oxycontin in his pocket, the marijuana in the car, the jail time for him. Policemen wrestled him, shots to torso. His 9-year-old daughter wrote, "Why didn't you tase him?" Nervous men jump at shadows. Jittery men pull the trigger at their imagination. Jealous men throw down the coat of many colors, black, sepia, tan, yellow, white. Threatened men cannot serve and protect, uphold the peace. I can't breathe. In Cleveland, 137 shots fired into a stopped car that fled for an hour. Police said they feared for themselves from a gun non-existent, existed. A woman, a man, 137 shots. Policemen on the hood of the car shot into the windshield over and again. How many bullets does it take to take a man, a woman's breath away? In Baltimore, a minor arrest, cuffs and ankle shackles. They threw him in the paddy wagon on his stomach, a rough ride like a sack of onions, body crying in layers, spine broken, dying slowly. Crashed his car in the Carolina night, no help at neighbor's door. They called police at his call for help. He walked toward police, empty-handed as an infant, loose hands. They shone everlasting light on him. He ran toward the searchlight, into the light. They shot 12 times, handcuffed his dying limbs, afraid of the resurrection of the body. I learned how to report from Gwendolyn Brooks. And finally, many years ago, when I was a student here, I heard the historian Sterling Stuckey in Harris Hall read a poem by W.B. Du Bois called Song of the Smoke that was written in 1905. And I determined that I would write a response to that poem. So I'm dedicating this to two giants, W.B. Du Bois and Gwendolyn Brooks. The Smoke Queen. I am the Smoke Queen. I am black. Now you see me. Now you won't stand back. The fire rages. The blacker the berry, the stronger the juice. I am the Smoke Queen. I am black. Now you see me, now you don't. I hover in the air in the castles of Elmina and Goree. I trembled above the waters of Middle Passage. I troubled the waters where I leapt to be free. I am the smoke queen. I am black. I am the memory of myself as I stood silent on the auction block, separated from my body as smoke while they counted the number of my teeth. In my own tongue, I shushed my child. I said, "Oh, baby, don't you weep." Those who measure me find me lacking what it means to be human wise. They count the number of my teeth. They weigh my tears on the cold scales. Yet I am magnificent, rolling like thunder over houses. I am the smoke queen. I am black. Now you see me, now you don't. Now you see me, now you won't. I stoked the furnaces of factories. I wrote my love letters on a train with a wisp of myself guiding me home. I am the smoke queen and I am black, hungry in the stairwells of public housing, a private power beating in each heart. I am the black smoke queen. I am black. There are no gray areas except those I sweeten with my hush and my mercy. How many centuries have I waited above the water, my soul to reclaim? Wade, wade in the water, my soul to reclaim. Oh, I am the smoke queen. I am black. Now you see me, now you don't. Look for me in the whirlwind, Garvey's ghost, and in Zinga's regality, the throbbing hum of Simone's song. Now you see me, now you dare not look. I believe in the substance of each soul. I believe in the clean cloth of character and reputation, earned, deserved. I observe who you are and what you do. I lift you up on smoky arms. Where there is smoke, there is purification, ritual. I am the smoke above the campfires where we rest on our way. I am the smoke above sustenance and comfort, signaling. I am the smoke queen. I am black. Now you see me, now you don't. Now you see me, now you won't. I am the X that marks the spot of the lynch rope still hot and the body charred. Myself a cry I sent up over the remains, lingering, hallowing in your nostrils and the chambers of your heart. I am the smoke queen and I am black. Out of humiliation, I lifted my own spirit. I did not look to the hills. I looked to the horizon. I go there, sensitive to the winds of time and wounds of toil. I caress your skin. Light as the spirit of flight, I fly to you. I caress your soul, who you show and do not show the world. Here, there, elusive to all who tried to catch me before I was wholly live and dancing over my own head higher. I am the smoke queen, I am black. Now you see me, now you don't. Now you see me, now you won't. I turn on myself, turning in a whirl, shape-shifting in the winds of history. I am voices rising out of eloquent earth, resonant with ages, fertile and sensible. I am chief citizen of the room where blues presides. I rise with the steps, intelligent and eager, of old and young, hurrying to know a cloud of mysteries, of truth, crushed to the earth and rising again and again. I am the incense that heralds the presence of the holy. I am the smoke queen, I am black. Now you see me, now you don't. Now you see me, now you won't. Now you see me, now you don't. I am the smoke queen, I am black.
Come on, Angela. Come on, Angela.
Thank you.
I need to take a little breath after that. Ooh. In the whirlwind, indeed. Okay. I'm going to open this reading with a few lines from Gwendolyn Brooks' Truth. And if the sun comes, how shall we greet him? Shall we not dread him? Shall we not fear him? Okay. Taking it for Gabby and Jen. I never remember the knuckles, though his hand was bare, though their hands were bare. I remember the impressions left on this skin, the wilting and the welting. I don't remember the sound, not one smack. I remember the falls, myself falling to the floor or sidewalk, or against the brick wall my head met after a push. There were many pushes. Girls pushed, but I punched. Pulled one down by the hair and kneed her as my own head bled. Girls didn't punch until high school. I had always punched. What kind of girl are you, my father asked. The kind who wants to live, I said, until I didn't anymore. But I wanted the leaving to be on my own terms, so I hit my father back. He owned me like any good country father. He waited for a husband to tame what he couldn't corral, to throw a rope like fingers round a neck. When I missed a boy, finger holds, I remember those. And me making a fist wrongly and punching, and I didn't mean to miss, but to hit the line below the belly, the belt line. Wind broke me in the snow my first year north. I'm still afraid to say his name. I wore shoes too thin for the weather. Who had ever seen such snow? And had a Georgia lilt, like molasses on a sore throat, sugared, raw. And he hated the sound of it. He was black, and I was black. And I was so happy to be in Detroit. And he aimed for my heart-shaped mouth, my gapped teeth, my too sweet tongue. I felt the juvenile weight of him above me like snow after dark, falling steady and hard. He said, I'm gonna teach you to talk regular. And I stopped speaking at all. I kept my swollen mouth shut and a straight razor in my math book, and dreamt of a bat to crack against his chest, a woman like me ultimately with soft hands, not hands of the field like my grandmother, but hands meant to stroke and soothe, needs a weapon. So I studied the art of war and watched boxing. And where else was all this rage to go? Is this too dramatic? Find another story. Find a lie. In love, body after body fell beneath my own, though my own was broken, and I made love like a sea creature, fluid as if boneless, though my bones would rattle if not for this fat I cherish. Wouldn't you? And how I grew to love the heavyweights, myself with one in the ring. Imagine him punching me and punching me again, saying, I'm sorry, so sorry to have to love you this way. I said early on in my life that I was not going to be my mother, and I was not going to follow a man around the country whenever he got a new job. Well, we don't know ourselves till we're tested. So my husband took a job in the mountains of western North Carolina. I said, well, I'll just stay in Detroit, you'll be fine. No, I can't do it without you. Remember, vows and whatnot. So I went. And I thought I was a fairly tough chick. I was scared of everything. The bears, the insects, whatever. Right? So I began to write a series of anti-pastorals. I began to have beef with the American romantics and the British romantics. Everything here bites, right? This is wilderness, and let's call it American wilderness, another anti-pastoral. I want to put down what the mountain has awakened, my mouth full of grass, my curious tale. I want to stand still but find myself move patch by patch. There's a bleat in my throat. Words fail me here. Can you understand? I sink to my knees, tired or not. I now know the ragweed from the goldenrod and the blinding beauty of green. Don't you see? I'm shedding my skins. I'm a paper hive, a wolf spider, the creeping ivy, the ache of a birch, a doe, a heifer. I have fallen from my dream of progress, the clear-cut glass, the potted and balconied tree, the lemon-waxed wood over a marbled pillar, into my own nocturne, the lullabies I had forgotten. How could I know what slept inside, what would rend my fantasies to cud, and up from this belly's wet straw-strewn field, these soundings. Wolf. So Howling Wolf was being interviewed by the BBC, and they asked him where he got his name, and he replied, "I was a bad boy, so my daddy told me the story about the wolf and Little Red Riding Hood." Oh, well, it changes the agency, doesn't it? Riding, okay. The final line in this poem is his. 1, it's licking your doorknob. You know it's there, yes you do. Sounds so subtle, if not for the scent, you might pretend it's the rustle of needles over the porch boards. You might pretend it's a coon's back up against the pine bark, but it's there, little girl, that tongue like a language all its own, and you know it, and you know more than that, too. I said, run. River can't help you. How's the river gonna help you? All that wet pulling you down into more of itself. I was baptized like any other, didn't do a damn thing to stop me. Just look at my mouth. I'll put it to anything. What you bet? 3, a wolf will make you faint. A wolf will have you happy on your knees and make you want more of the same. 4, by the time we were done, I couldn't tell me from it from me, who was on the floor, who was crying like that. 5, good jug. What you know about it? Nothing, not yet. 6, by the time we finished, I knew we'd never be finished. 7, when I meet the one who ain't a wolf, I'll let you know. Maybe. 8, I used to hide my pine-filled hunger, my breath of sawdust, my hard-tack heels, enough shame to splinter a belly, enough needles to gag on, to be fucked forever. What the fuck are you looking at? 9, oh white sock blues man, oh foul-tongued hero. Shout the wolf down now. Shoot the damn thing. 10, I'm a wolf, baby. You can't believe what I say. Everywhere and here too. I would like to say the wind doesn't move through me, that I don't respond to such things, that I don't stare at a field of flowers or pole beans or even the ubiquitous corn, that I don't feel the flatness of the land with relief and want to run and run and run across it the way I want to cry in the forest, to cry without stopping because I can't imagine how someone might escape that forest because I know I am descended from those who could not escape. Every place sets my teeth on edge. I take it all in, like needles, like air whipped up my nostrils as it rounds the corner of a brick building, like a thumb in my mouth, and honey from the jar on the end of it, the righteous and the wrong. All of it enters, the way bells enter the waiting ear on a Sunday morning, or the birds that wake me when I am sleeping by the window, or the moan of the neighbors or my own. How can you strike the balance when you can't separate yourself from anything or anyone? I am not safe any place, and nothing can save me. Just look at what the mountains have done to me. exactly what the city did, and then some. Chimera. I have a lovely friend, Jamal May, and he is so tired of me telling people this, but I continue to tell people this. He was defending me. We were having an argument about the word maternal, and he said, she's not maternal, she's dangerous. And what he meant was and believe me, the mother is the most dangerous, right? The maternal is dangerous. But he was arguing the way this particular person was using the word. I have no charms, admittedly. No gold comb can move through this mane. My skin is not translucent. Mine is a tale to fear. I know. And though a mother may destroy, she too sees fit to create beauty that I would eventually swallow if I gave in to my hungers. Nothing will come of this womb, but up from my wounds, from this goat's body, up from my wood-smoked lungs, from the milk of me, comes a song, a melody to open your wounds, then lick them clean. Thank you.
Thanks to the passion and persistence of Parnisha Jones, I'm having the time of my life today. A crown for Gwendolyn. This is and this is not the world out loud the way you left it, Gwen. Your nappy grace, so sugar sly and bladed, claims its space as it has always done, but we've allowed their cleated boots to brush our necks. The cloud of coulda, shoulda shadows us in place, while placards bellow reasons to erase us. Tangled with your lessons, wide aloud are newer lessons, splattered and unwound, that mangle both your vision and your name. The hellish task of resurrection rests with all the colored children, vaguely drowned in years of awkward nouns that ring the same inside the clamor of the city's chest. Inside the clamor of the city's chest, you trilled our soundtrack, tenements and light that leaked into their rooms. You sang the plight of us, so newly north. You, barely blessed, arrived on North Star trains, at first impressed by boulevards that shined so hard despite themselves. And yes, while there were still the whites, they seemed so muted. There were noses pressed against our windows, engines in our walls. We didn't realize the many ways you gave us mirrors, slowed our drums, said just to look, just long enough till we recalled the way a Mississippi mother prays in any key she can till she finds rest. In any key you could, you wrote us rest. You rearranged our northern names and slapped us back to church, where dusty deacons clapped in Jesus' name and Southside ladies messed around and ruined their press and curl. The best of what we couldn't see was you. You mapped us, flawed and yearning, sometimes even trapped in our new northern voices. You were best at saying, "Child, you're black," and meaning that. You saw the poor, the arrogant, the lost, and stamped us human, kept us fierce, unbowed as white folks changed our names again and spat those wretched sounds whenever our days crossed. Your stanzas, brash and heartbroken, made us proud. Your brash, heartbroken stanzas made us proud to be imperfect Negroes on the strut past Groveland Park and Prairie Shores. We cut down 47th Street, the sweaty crowd so swollen and so glorious. We wowed the gay chaps at the bar, and yeah, we shut it down. We turned it out till you said, But remember, Saturdays are not allowed to be the only day we got. You called us royalty, and we wore crowns that shined with sweet pomade and Dixie peach. We plowed through racks of plastic layaway, went bald beneath the ironing comb, but didn't mind, and Mama, you saw all. You wrote it loud, and Gwen, you told it all. You wrote it loud, but who knew you? You were our sermon dressed in quiet A-line skirt, and quite obsessed, your daughter says, with daytime soaps. Days of our lives, lies lived beneath a shroud of whiteness. Or you'd dance as if possessed to sudden music, huffing, flailing, blessed with gangly gams, a lack of shame, a crowd of only one as witness. Your control, your studied elegance in rhyme and line was nowhere in your body as you messed with quite the nasty drum. But then the old relentless fever would kick in. You'd find yourself inside a story being blessed. You walked into your stories and you blessed us. Tales of shuttered plants and beans and cans and welfare checks and that white woman's plans and roaches skittering in light. And yes, you tell us all about the latest mess. You warned us of the angels with their hands around our necks, our daddies in sedans too big for them. You planted wild distress behind our eyes. That's how you made us see that we had been the children of the poor. And when the bosses spoke to us, they stressed that we were still the butt of irony, the other side of every splintered door. We were the colored spoils of war, depressed. We were the colored spoils at war, depressed, and yet you said the war was why we'd win. I was a Negro girl and living in a time that fought my face. I often dressed in skin my mother scrubbed. I was a mess of pickle crammed with peppermint, the din of Smokey and the Temps. That was the sin that pulled me in. I knew they were the best my life would be, some silky crooner dream. And yet you wrote lines ripe with me. You said I was a miracle. You wrote so loud. You wrote a love that made me want to scream. You wrote me river, wrote me riverbed, my nights of never sleep beneath the cloud. You wrote the nights of never sleep, the cloud that sheltered me from sun. My mother thought I was too black to live, and so I fought inside your stanzas, searching for a crowd of syllables to help me stand. I was so proud the way you rhymed my name with South and taught the air around it to be warm. I ought to know the me my mother disavowed, but you're my mother now. The way you sing in every realm I'm in, you shoved my heart into the midst of all I've ever feared and forced me to remember then the ring of 47th Street, days spent apart, the thunder of our hair, and now we're here. You thundered in my hair, and now we're here, the poets of the poor, just crooning blue and prancing on our satin legs. The few of us who heard your gospel and felt you near can feel you now, your certain fist. And we're your nappy soldiers still. Mama, we knew what you slapped us to see because we flew when you said, damn it, fly. We're standing here when once we couldn't stand. The barbershop, the storefront church, the kitchenette, the street that glittered bronze, the places that we frame as black and only ours. We used to bop and shimmy through the din, but now we meet again for war, one that we've never named. Again, a war, and one without a name, but wearing all our faces. Yes, again, we're them, the other, Sutton Negroes. When did we sign on as targets in this game? Black, black, and black. They deem us all the same, but now the difference is our Mama Gwen, who holds us by our hand and by the pen, and grants us home and gives us rest. Our aim is not to seek their favor, but our own, to not become the stain that scars the street. Remember, child, you're black, and that allowed our errant stomp and call us to atone for nothing. There is no way to defeat her giants. We are here as we have vowed. We are her giants, here as we have vowed to be, our throats emboldened with the she of her, our muscled stanzas shaking free of all those white directives, proud to point the masters straight to hell. The crowd, their common comfort, seems to me to be their neat unravel. Gwen taught us to see how sweet it was to damn them all aloud. They're writing for their kind, their tribe. They cry, though not admitting we're what they can't reach, and they can't figure out why what they hear is never what we've written. Our goodbye to them is blinding, lines they wish we teach. They always be. You feel that specter near? You always be. You feel that specter near the door, in back, outside, here on the stage. You feel that quiet devilment upon the page. You feel her on that stair step, in that cheer. You know that hesitation when you hear that thing you have to write. You feel her rage when she feels you considering that cage. Don't tell me you don't feel her specter here. Inside your Chevy, in your hair, the room out back is filled with dancing Gwens. She heard our song. She heard us raise her name. She heard that call. She feels you pretty pray for what you lack. She's here because she knows that you write long at night. She towers here, 100 Negroes tall. She towers here, 100 Negroes tall. She's day of all our lives, a flailing dance to any kind of music. Our romance with everything she is fated for a fall, but spills our lessons. With us climbing walls she knows to push us over. Take a chance and stay your black, unbowed, and take a stance that hurts. You still move when you crawl. You know she's here. Her place, her power dims the lights. She's in this mic, forever sparking sound, the vague disturbance in the midst of crowd. I'm frightened that we just won't get this right. We're black and black, which means we're born with crown. She is and always was our world out loud. This is and this is not the world. Out loud inside the clamor of Chicago's chest, in any key you could, you wrote us rest. Your stanzas, brash and heartbroken, made us proud. And mama, you saw all. You wrote it loud. You lived inside the stories, and you blessed the colored soldiers home from war. Depressed by nights of never sleep, you wrote the cloud that thundered in their hair. And now we're here, another war, here where they shouldn't call us giants. We are here where we have vowed to always be. You feel that specter near? That towering gal, 100 Negroes tall. She is and always was our world out loud.
May 4th, 2017, 3:18 p.m. Sean King reports, "Our teenage sons can't sleep at night. They are either sleeping in the bed with us or sleeping with all the lights on. When they fall asleep, they are having night terrors of seeing their brother murdered right there in front of them." These were the words of Odell Edwards, the grief-stricken father of 15-year-old Jordan Edwards, who was horrifically shot and killed by now fired Officer Roy Oliver this past weekend. I spent several hours speaking with the family Wednesday in their suburban Dallas home, their first interview in these early painful days. Before I was a journalist, Sean says, I was a pastor for years and had walked many families through the stages of grief, including those affected by gun violence, but little prepared me for the trauma faced by this family. When they dream, he said, they see Jordan. They see Jordan with smoke coming out of his head from the shot. That's what they were forced to see. Our 4-year-old daughter, who was accidentally overheard what happened, is drawing pictures of her big brother with a hole in his head. What are we supposed to say to her? Odell's wife, Charmaine, told the Daily News. This is what the Edwards family is facing right now, but this same time last week, they had a picture-perfect life. They lived in a wonderful home in an upper middle-class neighborhood in Balch Springs. Odell, an entrepreneur in the trucking business, and Charmaine has worked in the industry for years. They provided well for their family and have gone out of their way to raise 3 studious, kind, scholar athletes. Jordan and his 2 older brothers, Vidal and Kevon, all attended school together, played sports together, supported each other through life. Part of why they have all achieved so much is because they've kept an eye on each other and held one another accountable across the years. Instead of staying home this week, which would have been understandable, Vidal and Kevon, both 16, asked their parents if they could go back to school the next day. Being at school has given the boys not only a huge support network, but a mirage of normalcy to help them get through. Tall, slender, and solemn by nature, the weight of Jordan's murder can be seen in Odell's eyes. As soon as they shot Jordan, my son Vidal called me instantly. He drove the car away from the police up the block so that nobody else would be shot, and then pulled over. All I could hear was screaming and crying and the boys saying that police had just shot and killed Jordan. Then the phone went dead. Police swarmed the car, which was their dad's personal vehicle, and forced all the boys out at gunpoint. Cursing and yelling, the police expressed no concern for Jordan. Mind you, none of these boys did anything wrong. They didn't break any laws. They actually left the party out of a sense of responsibility as it got too crowded and rowdy. Initially, Oliver lied and said the boys backed the car out of the driveway aggressively. The Balch Springs Police Department later recanted the tale when body camera footage actually showed Oliver aiming and shooting at the boys directly through their passenger side windows as they left the party. They had just seen their brother shot in the forehead with a rifle. The rifle was fired repeatedly from such close range that the boys said their ears were ringing from the shots. The battle of and for the black-faced boy. In 1851, he is stopped and frisked, packed inside the ice of iron in the hull of the Jesus, on his back, 18 hours a day, 192 days. He has 3 square feet of space and 10 vertical inches of air. The cat o' nine tails whips away. The jaws of the speculum oris feed him horse pea mush. Startlingly, strike with wonder, he is alive. The devil is beaten out of his father. Sharks nose the water for his boat. 100 times as many black-faced boys thrown overboard will eventually make the passage. The new world's cardinal child is robust, disposable, appraised and weighed in great supply. Open wide, black-faced boy, open wide. Our brave new world will make great use of you. The women plundered with him are open and entered like fish mouths. His sisters are swept and blown into the air like dandelion, pussy willows, weeping willows, black-eyed Susan willows. Each will grow furiously, dangerously across the mantle of the new land. Peony girls will pop, top-heavy hydrangea women drenched in indigo and poppy, fluttering inside the dark-eyed suckle of sugar and cane, their motion picture hips throwing seed. Black boy rubbed back alive, rubbed up for luck, rubbed on for sail and battle. It is the age of cotton futures, iron slave collars and copper yoke bracelets. The foreheads of black-faced boys are tattooed with the bone white of the master's initials. He hears them talking through their sweet tea liquor, vote no to the Union and yes to keeping slaves in their fields, in their beds. Generals Lee, Beauregard, Stonewall Jackson, John Hunt Morgan, the Cotton Confederacy lifts into the orange air of the Republic, pointing a rusty 1861, kill every nigger, Tillman gubernatorial submarine. The age of enlightenment is over. Here comes the time of civil war pell-mell, the battle of Fort Sumter, the delicate dance of the cakewalk, jump and jute, collide midair, Charleston's cannonballs, African banjos, English lutes break the air in one accord, the age of cotton and peach preserve, the birth of war, paint and dead arm photography take the floor, pale humans curtsy, bow, flash, grin, then shoot each other in the face. The music of the age is classical, arguing who is and is not free. The plentiful, unsurpassed, forever calculating blackface boy is now and forever dragged center stage. A joint announcement is made. Blackface on blackface boys from this day forward shall be the Republic's prototype, user-fruct. His instincts and his chemistry will be used to sell tobacco, hot dogs, box seats, toothpaste, all in his persuasive manner, used to calculate how to boldly break the Union, sweetly save the Union, ink amendments, acquire but never allow the Siamese twins freedom and equality to marry, ink declarations and squander proclamations, south to north. Everyone agrees off record that he will never be much to crow about, but they will never take their eyes off him. Never will he be forever free. And everywhere he tries to move, the music of his soft tapping feet will sound out train trestle, iron bells, smokestack, gold coins, siren bullets, panic. What they can sell of him will be well marked, but never will any blackface boy parts be labeled leading or man. Black skin, the Republic's first microchip, is strategically placed. It is still working very well. Epigraph. I said I'm gonna fight Strom Thurmond from the mountain to the sea. Modjeska Monteith Simpkins, Civil Rights Matriarch, 1948. You with your little ivory-tipped six-shooter words, pointed at our dream-filled, churning up the hill, wanting to be better hearts. You on your glittering presidential runway with your extra-large holsters of warbling hate. On both sides of your hips, your rat-a-tat nickel language of destruction, cling-clanging in the microphone of our everyday. Your worthless, cheap silver lingo never adding up. Bulldozing and belittling how far we've come, pouring your imported gasoline on our hot under-the-collar fears, you and your little Pac-Man Hunger Games, eating away at what frightens us, then dangling the live detritus before us like something we need to be gargantuan. You and your little Titanic private jets of hatred, pointed at all who do not share your shock of thinning, oranging hair. You rising and falling, a hot air balloon of unwonder, floating above us, raining down on us, never looking us in the eye, tucking dynamite near our homesteads, our heart forts, our bald eagles, our wheat fields, our gray whales, our migrations forward, the palms of our cities. You with your trusty little band of loud, pointless aggressives. A rising river of believers threatening us by memorizing together all the architectural arpeggio low notes of, I'll build me a wall. Your camphor bird-sized heart, you and your kin with your mean-spirited manifestos and hymns gathered together at the glorious picnic, ever excited to be witnesses at the new hanging of the sovereign kindness and empathy for each other that is still a national work in progress. You and your kind, standing around for the photo shoot and then the mailing out of the bloody postcard with, wish you were here, on the back, all while pointing up to the still swaying branches of all that remains of what was once a human being. You and your little, let me close the deal, atomic bomb eyes, threatening a world that refuses to turn the arena over to you. You orchestra, your orchestra of brass knuckle sound-alikes and cabinet billionaires who didn't want you to be president any more than I wanted you to be president, but didn't have the courage to resist. What a worn-out scarecrow of a fearmonger you are, standing at droopy attention, all prominent now in our sun-flowered field, wearing the same scary look at you as you ask the presidential parade organizers if you can have a tank in the parade. What? I really want a tank in the parade, you said, please. And finally being told, no, it's not appropriate. Those who put you where they put you wait with worry, unable to imagine one more environmental protection order, one more solar windmill turning on the plains or the parkland, one more black president with beautiful Muslim name, one more black woman FLOTUS with army muscles. Your true believers await, but you aren't a new kind of man. You have been marching across our sweet yet-to-be United States with spiked shoes for many generations, with stink bombs and shrapnel strapped to AM radio microphones, kicking and poking every newly inflated hopeful thing we ever dragged to the yet-to-be finish line of this raging republic. You and your red rooster pompadour making your living by strutting into the yard and looking for the wounded or the weary to peck to death before flying back up to your penthouse perch to preen. You and your pompous walk, your empty silk pockets, sprouting your latest wonder and disregard. Oh, look at my African American. There, over there, that's my African American. Your extended breath holding my in the air as if surprise, surprise, you happen to look up from your notes into the crowd only to find one of your exotics escaped from the big house and no longer polishing the silver but in the front yard now at your afternoon rally, cheering you on alongside the others, clinging to your shiny exterior, all there standing with eyes so exquisitely wounded from 400 years of tender, constant poking and pummeling that they are unable to speak the difference between a slap in the face and a slap on the back. You bereft and disingenuous lying addict of TV lights. You prisoner of narcissism and the toys of war. You, a student of the quip and inventor of the bully high bar. You small-minded new old stock character of this, our monumental sweet time to live. In the tradition of other great South Carolina women warriors, I promise you, I will fight who you say you are, from the mountain to the sea.
Finney in 2020.
And I'll close on a poem that I don't read a lot because I was leaving home for college and the men in my family took me out in the backyard to show me how to shoot a gun. And they said it was tradition. And so I want to read this poem called Negroes with Guns. And the epigraph says, if I'm a criminal for advocating that people have the right to defend themselves and fight for what they deserve, then I hope I'm always known as a criminal. Robert F. Williams, president of the NAACP, Monroe, North Carolina, 1954. The father pulls the 6-paneled heart pine door open, leading her out by the arm, her first lesson. The wind behind the house past the prayer trees, beyond the woods, back of the shed, into the hush-hush air where prayer and camp meeting rose like jasmine vine back in the black cold days. Their walk together through the fall sun into the old woods has been written by carpenter pencil on the wide block insurance calendar for 15 years. Since the day Miss Longfellow, hinterland midwife, left behind one extra long, glistening brown taffy baby rolled safe in center of the white sheet. The escort father moves easy through the loblolly, one hand on his Smith & Wesson. His apple-eyed German Luger sleeps like a cub in his waistband, one hand gentling her shooting arm, never pulling. Her head is hawk high, her eyes bog turtle low, her breath full of one last useless resist. Why I have to do what she do, she asks. At the speckled, breathy chicken wire door stands the one afraid of heights, who can blow the X out of the Maxwell house can, who knows that nothing that comes in twos on her was ever taught to squint. The mother markswoman dressed in cotton smock and brogans stares at the leaving backsides of the two she would jump out of an aeroplane for. When she practices shooting the eyes out of a carpet beetle, her toes tend to rise, but she cannot swim, fly, leave land with ease. Years later, strangers will arrive at her door and try to interview her for their Black people who refuse to join King documentary. She will announce at the same breathy chicken wire of a door to the black eye of the camera. What goes on in the backwoods stays on in the backwoods. Turning back to her pots with nary a sound, her trigger finger slick and wet, wrinkled, soapy, content for now, devoted for now to coaxing cheese off a casserole dish. For now she stops her kitchen work, but not her kitchen worry. She hears the first pulse of thunder break. Her ears stretch and preen the bright, sure sun and half-mile of trees, the field. She closes her eyes, hoping to see where her two honey buns are going, even before their feet reach the fault lines there. Her brown hands, covered in twice sifted paprika and goose flour, twitch. The morning has her mindless and stuttering, forgetting her hurricane of work ahead. She touches the itch near her nose. A speckle of whitish wheat will dot her face there now. Her husband, the noticer, his hands not even off the copper knob, will reach sweetly for her dark, dark gingerbread of face and touch the poppy of white. She will never realize this errant bloom of white was ever there. She will only care that he returned to her, found something out of place on her, and fixed it. Just like the time before and the time ahead. How she do, she'll ask. Fruit don't run from where it falls, he'll answer. Back in the kitchen, her hands rest on the red cake bowl where the fatty chicken thighs, her daughter's favorite, bob and dive and bob like synchronized swimmers, all you can eat, the Berlin Olympics, 1936. Jesse had already won. Adolf commenced biting at the skin of his pearl white fists, tanned with fresh garlic. The thighs bubble up and practice sleep. Inside the silky clabber of milk butter, stretching into a colored swan lake. Greens settled and woozy collapse inside a steaming bog of pot liquor. At the knotty, rusty screen, the mother who can shoot the first and second S from out the middle of grasshopper without browning the grass or decapitating the hop, stares out into the field of yellowing pine for sign of insect life or other. The trees unwrap. Gunpowder lifts every leaf into air. Cabbage-colored cicadas lickety-split. Lucky life released. Her wide toes widen on the wooden threshold, shaved 3 times with his different-sized scythes over 3 winding weeks. Her steel wool heels bear down on the well-buttered heart pine, taking the wood in like cornbread poured out on a hot griddle, while just behind her, the pig iron smokes.
Dream come true. And I'm even more proud of this because Miss Brooks's daughter is here this evening. And could you stand so we could give you a round of applause? I have loved each of these women for a very long, long time. And I know I'm proud. I know that Northwestern is proud. I know Ms. Brooks is proud because I met her one time and I had 3 poems to my name. And I sat with her for an hour, and there was one poem that I wrote that was called "Thank You, God, for Making Me Black." And she wrote on the side of the poem, "This is a very courageous poem for you to write because you may receive enemies on both sides." And I have a big poster in my office at home of her, and she wrote on it, "Hold on." And after that meeting, she passed away 6 months after that meeting. So I'd like, in the spirit of that, in the spirit of what these women have given us this evening, what would Gwendolyn Brooks do? Dawn oversees percolating coffee and the new wreckage of the world. I stand before my routine reflection, button up my sanity, brush weary strands of hair with pomade, and seal cracked lips of distrust with cocoa butter and matte rouge. I ready myself once again for mourning and mortify. Stacking poetry and bills in a knapsack, I bundle up hope. It's brutal out there. For a moment, I stand with ghosts and the frame ancestors surrounding me. I call out, hoping she can hear me. Over the day-breaking sirens, hoping she is not far away or right down the street, praying over another dead Black boy. How will we make it through this, Miss Brooks? Hold on. When she held a body, she saw much worse than this. I know she was earshot and fingertip close to oppression. She saw how hateful hate could be. She raised babies, taught Stone Rangers, grew a natural, and wrote around critics. She won a Pulitzer in the dark. She justified our kitchenette dreams and held on. She held on to all of us. Hold on, she whispers. Another day when I have to tiptoe around the police and passive-aggressive emails from people who sit only a few feet away from me. Another day of fractured humans who decide how I will live and die. And I have to act like I like it, so I can keep a job, be a team player, pay taxes on it. I have to act like I'm happy to be slammed, severed, and swindled. Otherwise, I'm just part of the problem, a rebel rouser and rude. They want me to like it or at least pretend, so the pretty veils that blanket who we really are, this complicated history, can stay pretty and veiled like some desert belly dancer who must be seen but not heard. Hold on. We are a world of lesions. Human has become hindrance. We must be stamped and have papers, and still it's not enough. Ignorance has become powerful. The dice that rolls our futures is platinum, but hollow inside. Did you see that, Miss Brooks? Do you see what we've become? They are skinning our histories, deporting our roots, detonating our very right to tell the truth. We are one step closer to annihilation. Hold on, she says, 2 million light years away. She's right. Hold on, everybody. Hold on, because the poets are still alive and writing. Hold on to the last of the disappearing bees in that great barrier reef. Hold on to the one sitting next to you, not masked behind some keyboard, the one right next to you, the ones who live and love right next to you. Hold on to them. And when we bury another grandmother or another black boy, when we stand in front of a pipeline, pour another glass of dirty drinking water and put it on the dining room table next to the krepla, bratwurst, tamales, collards, dumplings that our foremothers and fathers, immigrants, brought with them, so we all knew that we came from somewhere that mattered. When we kneel on the rubbled mosque, sit in massacred prayer circles, holding on is what gets us through. We must remember who we are. We are worth fighting for. We've seen beauty, we've birthed babies who've only known a black president. We've tasted empathy and paid it forward. We've go-funded from wrong to right. We've marched and made love. We haven't forgotten. Even if they have, karma is keeping watch. Hold on, everybody. Even if all you have left is that middle finger around your God-given right to be free, to be heard, to be loved and remembered. Hold on and keep holding. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you hold on to this night and give the biggest rousing applause to Toi Derricotte, Nikky Finney, Angela Jackson, Patricia Smith, and Vievee Francis.